Welcome to the Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to the Spread's first mock draft for the 2017 season. I'm your host, Jim Sella, here with Jay Dash. We're going to do one more after this. We've done 3 in the past. I think we did 2 last year. We're not going to get super in-depth to it. All this stuff changes so much, and quite honestly, it annoys me after a while.
Yes, but you were going to take the reins as the GM of all 32 teams here.
Please believe.
You want to get this started?
Let's do it.
All right, first overall pick. The Cleveland Browns are on the clock. They actually have 2 picks in the first round. Their team needs are obviously quarterback, as always, for the past 40 years. And, I mean, they need help on their defense as well, and especially in the secondary, some sort of D-back.
The Browns have been stockpiling picks for the last 2 years. They did that Brock Osweiler trade where they pretty much, as of right now, they haven't got any takers, but they bought a second round next year for $16 million. They got that new analytics team in there from, that baseball background. So things are done a little differently around there. I honestly don't think they value this number 1 pick overall. So I honestly think they're going to trade it, but we're not going to worry about trades in this mock draft. We're not going to get that in depth to it. We're just going straight down as is, as if there were no trades. So that being said, the clear-cut number 1 is defensive end Myles Garrett, Texas A&M. This guy's a beast. He's going to be an instant impact on day 1. He's going to be able to rush the passer. He's going to be able to stop the run. Outside of injury, there's no way this guy doesn't terrorize the league for the next 10 years. I mean, he's one of the closest surefire draft picks at the number 1 overall pick that I've seen in a long time.
Well, they let Pryor go. You say they might trade this pick. Do you think if they traded this pick, it would be to trade down just a few picks so they could take a quarterback? Or do you think they just try to bring in some talent?
I don't know. They might be able to deal it for a quarterback, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo, but I don't think they're going to give away the first overall pick for Garoppolo. It kind of depends on what the Patriots want. The Browns have another pick here shortly we'll talk about, so maybe that's the one they try to move over for Garoppolo. I just think that with that analytics department, it really seems like they could probably turn this into a bunch of picks. I don't think they value a quarterback high enough to take right here. So even if they move down to 4, I don't think they would take a quarterback there either. I just don't think they see them as good enough. So I think they're really just looking to stockpile picks and take the best player available.
All right, next on the clock is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Colin Kaepernick opted out of his contract. They really don't have a quarterback right now. And they need a lot of help on the offense, obviously. I think they got rid of Turi Smith. Who was the receiver they brought in?
Pierre Garçon.
Yeah, Garçon. I think they brought him in on a pretty big contract as well. I think he's overpaid at this point.
Believe it.
But they need an offensive line as well. What are you saying?
I don't think that there's a good enough wide receiver or running back or really a quarterback here to take. I think the signing of Brian Hoyer with Kyle Shanahan is going to be good enough for this season. Honestly, I think the 49ers have kind of a wink and nod situation with Kirk Cousins. He's going to play out the final year of his franchise tag with Washington and then come to the Niners next year. So I don't think they're in the quarterback market. I think safety Jamal Adams out of LSU fits. He can come in and play defense right away. He'll be a day 1 starter, just like Myles Garrett. You really, when you have no offense like the 49ers are going to have this year, what can you do? You can try to run the ball and play good defense. So Jamal Adams gives them the opportunity to do that. The offense is going to be stagnant, and there's no doubt about it. Maybe they try to bring in a Jay Cutler. I don't think they draft somebody here at number 2. Mitch Trubisky is probably the best quarterback, and I don't think he's worth it this high. So I'm just saying best player available, and that's Adams right here.
Yeah, I don't like the 49ers. I don't like Trubisky. I don't know. 49ers are going to be garbage next season.
Yeah, they're not going to be any good. Kyle Shanahan, he's going to struggle to turn that franchise around. I mean, their last 2 coaches have both only been there for 1 year, so that shows you a lot.
And speaking of Jay Cutler, you mentioned 49ers might bring him in. The Bears released him. They brought in who? Mike Glennon?
Yeah, Glennon at like $15 million a year. It's ridiculous.
Elshon Jeffrey's gone now, so they lost their best receiving option. They brought in Marcus Wheaton. I don't think that's going to replace Elshon Jeffrey. The Bears are hurting right now. They need a lot of help on the offense, and they need help in their secondary as well. So what do you have them taking?
Well, they did sign Prince Amukamara and Quentin Demps to help out that secondary, so I think that they're okay with that as of right now. But also in the future, you're going to need a guy who's a playmaker, and I think Marshawn Lattimore is that guy that fits right here. He can come in and play the nickel corner for him, so he'll get in there on third downs. I mean, look at the defenses in the NFL these days. They almost play nickel exclusively. I mean, that's pretty much every team's base defense anymore. So he'll get a lot of playing time. Coach John Fox, he's a guy who can fix defenses quick. It's strange to me that they're struggling. He went to Carolina. He won relatively quickly. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but he contended. He went to Denver. He won there. He did win a Super Bowl. And then now in Chicago, they're complete garbage. But I think a lot of that has to do with Jay Cutler being garbage. I really don't think Glennon's the answer, honestly. But that's not here nor there. I think this really helps this Bears defense that has been terrible the last few years. And they're kind of a pride town there. You know, they're used to having that good defense. Look at the 85 Bears. So it fits for me.
Yeah, they got to do something offensively too, though. I mean, all they have out there right now is that running back Jordan Howard. That dude looks like a beast, but other than that, man, their offense looks like garbage.
Yeah, I just don't think they value a wide receiver high enough at number 3. I could be wrong. I'm just the draft guru. I'm not trying to be Mel Kiper here.
The 4th pick overall are the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have a quarterback, I guess, Blake Bortles. You want to see him take the next step this season, though. He really has to. I do like the receivers they got out there, but they do need help on the offensive line. They're still looking for a running back out there, and they need a lot of defensive help as well, especially along that line there on the defensive side. What are you saying? Do they go with the running back here?
Well, they signed A.J. Boyd, Calais Campbell, and Barry Church to help bolster that defense, so that'll help them out.
Ain't going to help enough, man. That defense is struggling. Has been struggling for years, actually.
Yeah. What was the name of the guy, the linebacker they took 2 years ago? That
Dante Fowler Jr.?
Yeah, and then they took the cornerback / safety last year. I forget his name.
I can't remember.
He played all right, but Jalen Ramsey, that's what it is. He played all right, but he got burnt. But, I mean, you know, rookie corners do. The Jags, I mean, they've had no running back there since Natron Means.
Natron Means.
I mean, come on. They've tried Toby Gerhardt, it didn't work out.
They
tried Denard Robinson, it didn't work out.
Fred Taylor.
Oh, yeah, Fred Taylor was a good one. Who was the second-round pick recently that they had that hasn't turned out? He's been a fantasy guy, but then he ends up being garbage. I forget his name, but he's terrible.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think Leonard Fournette, he's the best running back here out of LSU. He's clear-cut, better than the rest. I think he really fits right here. Tom Coughlin took over this organization. He likes to be able to run the football. The Jaguars, when he was there originally, ran the football well, just like you said with Fred Taylor. When he was with the Giants and they actually won the Super Bowl, no, they weren't a running team, but not too many teams are right now. They still ran the football effectively. He believes in being able to control the ball, play good defense. They stock the defense. Makes sense here to add to the offense. If Fournette can run the ball effectively, that gives Blake Bortles a chance to use the play-action pass, which they use it, but it's not very effective because everybody knows the Jags aren't going to run it.
So going with the running back.
Please believe.
You going with defense after that? You trying to stack the defense?
Probably if I'm the Jaguars. I mean, they have a lot of money, so they might sign another free agent, second tier here or there. But after that, the offense is pretty set. Their wide receiver core is not great, but it's not bad either. I'd give them, at worst, middle of the pack.
All right, 5th in the draft are the Tennessee Titans. They got this pick from the Los Angeles Rams. We remember Mariota broke his leg last season, and hopefully he comes back. And is he supposed to be ready for the beginning of the season?
Yeah, from what I hear, he's going to be ready. They just don't want to push him too fast through the offseason program. So I guess there's always a chance that something happens.
DeMarco Murray they brought over last year, so the run game looked good last season. They do need to help him out with maybe a receiver or two. We said a couple times in the past that we like their receivers, but they really haven't broke out with Mariota at quarterback. It'd be nice to bring in another talented receiver. and they could use some help in the linebacker position as well defensively, especially on the inside.
Yeah, they signed a linebacker. I forget his name. He's kind of a mid-tier guy, so I left the linebacker need in because I think although he fits maybe a short-term stopgap, there's still an opportunity for them to go after that position later in the draft. Not here at number 5 overall. I think they take Mike Williams, the wide receiver from Clemson. He's a big guy. He's a playmaker. He's a guy that can give Mariota a consistent target. He has good hands. He can go across the middle. I mean, he's really that complete wide receiver, or at least expected to be that complete wide receiver. They need that to go with that run game. They have DeMarco Murray there, and Derrick Henry, I believe, is the name of their backup running back. They ran the ball very well last year. Mariota, you're not going to want him to run around a lot early in the season. You're going to want him to try to stay a little more stationary, get the ball out of his hands quickly. Williams is a guy who can catch the ball and run with it, so opens up the play-action passing game. Overall, it just really helps this Tennessee team, who I think can really take a step forward this year.
I'd be scared to draft a guy named Mike Williams.
Yeah, please believe there's been, 5 of them at wide receiver that were garbage?
They were all supposed to be beasts, too.
Yeah, and then collectively they might have had 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons between them.
Believe it. All right, next on the clock, 6th overall in the draft are the New York Jets. This team was terrible last season. They brought over Matt Forte. He really, I'm not going to say he was terrible or anything. He was still a pretty good running back, but he definitely didn't do what he did when he was in Chicago. And, I mean, really, they didn't put much around them out there in New York as well. Brandon Marshall's gone. Ryan Fitzpatrick had a terrible season last year. They have Geno Smith at quarterback. I don't think that guy's going to be winning any Super Bowls anytime soon, obviously.
Dash, he's not even there as of right now, actually. He's a free agent. He's just expected to be back.
Oh, really? He is a free agent?
Yeah, they were expected to re-sign him, but then they let him test the free agent market.
But they released Darrelle Revis already, I believe, correct?
They said they're going to. They might do that where 2 players are allowed to be released with that post-June 1st designation. Now, that doesn't mean they have to wait till then to release them. It just means you have to wait till like the second week of April or something, and then you're allowed to spread the cap hit over 2 years. So there's talk that they could be doing that, so it might be another week or 2. But they said they are moving on from them. It's already official that it's going to happen.
And they released Nick Mangold as well. So really, they could draft anything at this point. They do have a lot of needs. I guess quarterback is the main need they have, though, correct?
Yeah, they have Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg there, but neither one of them really even got a chance last year when the season was over with and Fitzpatrick was struggling. So you would think if the Jets really thought they saw something in one of those guys, they'd let him get some experience. I mean, the year was already over pretty early for those guys. So really, I don't have much confidence in them if you didn't really get to see anything out of them.
So who they taking?
I think the Jets are going to go with that Mitch Trubisky, the quarterback out of North Carolina. He's thought to be the best QB out of all these guys, even though I think Watson's going to be a better QB than Trubisky. He's kind of close to a prototypical guy. He still ran that spread offense. I don't think he really took any snaps under center in college, but he's a bigger guy. He's got a strong arm. He's not real big. I think he's 6'2" or something. He's not Ben Roethlisberger big, but he's big enough to play the quarterback position. The Jets are really, they're reaching, man. They want to be great. They never really get it done. Jay Cutler could go sign there as a stopgap. Colin Kaepernick could go start there as a stopgap. I really don't know. I don't know exactly what they're going to do free agent-wise, but I really do think they'll take Trubisky if he's here at number 6. The Jets kind of like this guy. Todd Bowles wants a guy he can build around and start a career because through the first 2 years of his career, he's had Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they've been up and down.
I think I remember hearing Trubisky 6'1". They actually thought he was under 6 foot heading into the combine or whatever, but when they measured his height, they found out he was 6'1", so they were kind of happy with that.
Yeah, 6'1", and then at 6'2", there were some reports even, so he's definitely over 6 foot.
All right, next on the list is the new Los Angeles team, the Los Angeles Chargers, and they were terrible while they were in San Diego. And I don't know if they're going to be much better in Los Angeles. And I don't even know if they have any type of fan base as well. But they need a little bit of help on the offensive side, especially at receiver. Someone for Phillip Rivers out there, obviously. And they need help keeping him upright as well. So they could use someone on the line. And defensively, they could use some defensive linemen as well.
Can you believe they let Danny Woodhead go?
I mean, he just got injured too much, man. I think they had to move on from him. But I do like Danny Woodhead still. I love that guy.
Well, he's with the Ravens now, so we'll get to see him twice a year.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So the Chargers, I think they're going to add to that defense. I think Solomon Thomas, the defensive end from Stanford, great pick for them right here at number 7. He's a guy who can rush the passer. He's a guy who can come off the edge. He can set the edge in the run game. Phillip Rivers, oddly, has been able to make the offense work with it. Really seems like whoever they put around him. And I like to bag on him because he's got a giant forehead and 15 kids. But the guy has been, as far as stats go, he's been successful in the NFL. He's never really had a great defense to go with, a pretty productive offense. Is Solomon Thomas going to make them a great defense right away? No. Like you said, they probably don't even have a fan base, so nobody really cares. But I think Thomas is a good player. He's a bigger guy at 6'3", 273. He could move to linebacker and drop a little bit of weight. He could kind of stay on at D-end and just particularly rush the passer. But I think he's going to be an instant impact for whatever team picks him up.
They did franchise Melvin Ingram, correct?
Believe it.
So that was big for him. Do they still have Melvin Gordon at running back?
I think so.
Yeah, so, I mean, I like the names they have offensively. Like you said, Rivers puts up the stats. He's just someone I can't trust, man. Someone that blows it in the end.
They also signed Russell Okung, the offensive tackle. So, I mean, that helps out in the run game. That helps keep Phillip Rivers upright. It's always good. I hate the Chargers, man. It's hard to get excited about these guys. They're so blah. They always look like they're going to be good, but then they're not.
Please believe it. And a team that was supposed to be good last year, 8th pick overall this season because they were so terrible after making the Super Bowl the prior season, and that is the Carolina Panthers. And they had problems keeping Cam Newton upright last season, but they didn't have much of a run game either, so they could use a running back, but defensively they need some help as well. They definitely weren't as good defensively last season as they were the year before either. And the biggest need defensively is defensive end, and I see you do have them taking one here.
Yeah, they did franchise Kawan Short, and they did sign Julius Peppers to, I think it was a 1 or 2 year deal. I don't know if Peppers is going to stay at linebacker or move back to defensive end. Peppers is definitely going to be a rotational guy. Short, he's more of an interior guy. So I think Jonathan Allen, the defensive end out of Alabama, gives them the best option here at number 8. Like you said, the Panthers were in the Super Bowl in 2015 and then terrible last year. They couldn't get to the quarterback. They couldn't really stop the run. They struggled to run the ball themselves. There was talk that Jonathan Stewart might be released because of his high salary and low performance. Cam Newton's been their best running back pretty much through his whole career every year, so that doesn't really help. Allen's a guy who can come in. They like to run a rotation there anyway on the D-line, so he'll definitely be a guy who will at least play day one. He won't, start perhaps, but he'll be a guy who will get the opportunity to make an impact right away. And if he plays like he did in college, there's no reason to think that he can't get to the quarterback. And he's pretty solid against the run, too. Not great. He'll have to improve there a little bit.
So do they bounce back this season?
Yeah, they're not going to go they were 15-1 their Super Bowl year. They're not going to do that, but I can see them being a 10 or 11 win team.
So they win that division?
I mean, who else is going to win it? Atlanta? Come on.
Well, I mean, they made the Super Bowl, so they have a chance to win that division, obviously. And who knows? Yeah. The Saints always have a good year here and there as well. And Tampa's on the rise as well, man. Who knows?
The Panthers won the Super Bowl in 2015, and look what they did the next year. So I don't really expect Atlanta to do the same thing that they did.
Yeah, but you don't expect Atlanta to do what Carolina did either, do you?
No, I just think that it'll be a close race, and the Panthers will be able to pull it out.
All right, let's move on to the 9th pick overall, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals. What they need is mostly an edge pass rusher. They need some kind of help at linebacker. And offensively, they need some help on the offensive line, mainly center. And to me, they need some help at receiver, too. I know they brought in Tyler Boyd last season, and he still has some work to do to become a better receiver, obviously, and hopefully he can take the next step this season. A.J. Green's coming off an injury. Tyler Eifert was injured a lot last season, so they do have weapons in that passing game. I think they still are missing one receiver out there, though. But they got to go defensively here, don't they?
Yeah, I believe so. They lost Zittler, I think is the way you say his name, and Andre Whitworth or whatever his name was on the offensive line. So there are some people saying they're going to go O-line, but I think they go defense. The Bengals are a team that likes to take guys with character issues. Foster is the player, the linebacker out of Alabama, who was yelling at a nurse during his medical exam and got sent home from the combine. So he fits right in with the jabronis and jamokes that they got out there in Cincinnati. Adam Jones and Vontaze Burfict and all those other losers. Foster's a really good player, and from what I read, it really was just a misunderstanding. So I really don't hold any grudges against Foster. I just like to have fun. But he's a productive player for Alabama. He's a guy that can come in and play alongside Burfict. He's another guy who can get to the quarterback. At number 9, it just really makes sense for me. The Bengals, like you said, they do need wide receiver help, but I think that's pretty deep in the draft this year. I think they could find that at maybe 2nd or 3rd round. You also mentioned Tyler Boyd. He's a guy who can step up and probably be a number 2 in his 2nd year to A.J. Green coming off that injury. So I think defense makes more sense for the Bengals here than offense. If they do go offense, though, maybe they value one of the linemen here, but I don't think there's a lineman to take at number 9.
All right, and we're going to go with the last pick of this segment, the 10th pick of the draft, and that is the Buffalo Bills, one of my favorite teams when I was a kid. I loved Jim Kelly, James Lofton, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas. Those dudes were beasts. But these days, they kind of suck, although they do have the running back. Shady McCoy did have a big season for him last year. They restructured Tyrod Taylor, correct?
Yeah, they're not giving him $31 million to play one season now.
Thankfully. But they do need to give him some weapons out there for sure.
Believe it.
They probably, I don't know, they might have the worst receiving core in the league if you ask me. And they need some help on the offensive line to keep him upright as well. And their defense, I think they're better than that offense out there, but they still need some help in the secondary as well.
Yeah, I think Rex Ryan was the biggest problem with the Bills' defense. Honestly, they were good before he got his hands on them for 2 years in a row, and then they struggled. So I think they'll bounce back. They have some talent, but you can always add more talent. And I like Sidney Jones, the cornerback from Washington. He's a guy who's big, he's strong, he's fast, he can make plays. The Bills lost Gilmore to the Patriots. Stephon Gilmore, he signed a big deal there. The Bills weren't willing to match. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Buffalo here at number 10. You got to be able to make plays in that division when you're playing against Tom Brady. So you really need somebody who can play man coverage, somebody who can play bump and run. And this is a guy who's really good at jamming a receiver at the line. He's not afraid to play physical. So it makes the most sense for me at number 10.
All right, out of these first 10 picks, who do you think comes up with the best player in the draft? Outside of that first pick with the Browns there. Who has the most valuable pick?
If Fournette can work out the way Ezekiel Elliott did for Dallas, I think the Jaguars get a great pick there at number 4. I don't expect him to come in and lead the league in rushing as a rookie like Elliott did. But think about it. If they can get a running back to gain 1,000 yards or maybe 1,200 yards, think about what that could do for that Jacksonville offense. And then with the additions that they made on defense, yeah, that's not going to make them elite, but we both know you control the ball a little better, let the defense rest a little bit, you convert third downs offensively. That makes a average defense look a little better.
The only problem is Dallas had one of the best offensive lines in football when they brought Elliott in, whereas the Jags do not.
Believe it, but I think the new regime, Tom Coughlin running it, I think he knows that, so I think he'll do what it takes to bolster that offensive line, maybe a little bit later through the draft, or you could still sign a day 2 offensive lineman here. It's not like guys that aren't signed on day 1 are garbage, and they did let tackle Kelvin Beachum go, so that's not very good.
Believe it. Wrap it up, man.
Well, fans, that's it. 1 through 10. There you go. If you got any questions, comments, somebody you think that they should take, or if you just think it's complete garbage, just let me know. Hit me up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. As always, come to YouTube, youtube.com/betthespread. Everybody loves mock drafts. We're just going to keep doing them till I lose my mind.